Hi there, everybody. It's Dan Cerrucci. It's almost 8 o'clock on Tuesday night. I've been doing these live chats, video chats, and here we are again. And I'm with a fellow New Jerseyan, Joe Labarbera, who is from Sussex County. He's up at the top of the state. I'm more towards the bottom in Camden County. If you know anything about New Jersey, there's North Jersey and South Jersey. But Joe, you're sort of like in the what would you say, the northwest corner of the state?
Yeah, we are the northwest corner of the state and the highest elevation.
Wow, the northwest corner and the highest elevation. I call that New Jersey's last frontier.
It is.
If any of you have ever been up in Sussex County, it's absolutely beautiful. And I know, Joe, as the Sussex County Republican chairman up there, you intend for it to remain that way, right?
Yeah, I won re-election, and so far so good. I mean, politics is rough, and this is a thankless job, no pay, nothing like that. However, you get to really get a lot of good done, and you get to influence things to a positive direction.
So, I mean, what possessed you, Joe, to do this? Did you take on this assignment? I mean, it's not like you said, it's a thankless job. Politics is a messy, messy business.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, what possessed you to take this on?
I have a passion for protecting the county against it becoming Democrat, and the opportunity came where I believe that I was the right person for that time, and I'll stay as long as I believe I'm the right person for that time. If there's somebody better than me, I'd love to have them because.
So, I mean, there's a lot of people. This is very admirable because I run into this all the time, Joe, and I have a saying. I say the world is full of cowards. There are a lot of people who, like, you'll go to a meeting or you'll be part of a community group and they'll complain and they'll carry on and they'll carp and they'll criticize the leadership, but none of them really want to step up and do it themselves. Okay. So if you say to them, even if you ask them like to be on a committee, they don't even want to do that. Okay. But they love to criticize. But you just stepped right up and you said, look, I don't think anybody can do this better than me. I have some ideas for how to do it, so I'm going to do it. Right?
Well, the belief was we were basically lost 3 towns to the Democrats. We lost our biggest town, Vernon, had a Democrat mayor, and the Democratic Party larger had a strong presence in Vernon. Then we had Sparta, which votes mostly Republican, votes for Trump, but for over one issue, put in a Democrat-led council, which turned out to be a disaster. And then Newton, which was calling itself bipartisan and didn't really want to support or help the Republican cause totally. And the reason is that the Democrats have a major business there, a business that brings in a lot of money to the county and to the town. So with that in mind, I believed we had to take those towns back. We took back Vernon. We're now new in Newton days, and we have a Newton committee now. And I believe we're going to take back Sparta in 2026.
And you've had tremendous success there. Like you said, that you told me that the county, this is in county in New Jersey, folks, went 70% for Trump.
We were tied with Ocean County.
And everybody, if you don't know this, Ocean County, which sits along sort of like the mid-Jersey shore, is an overwhelmingly Republican county. It's probably, at this point, the single most Republican county in the state. It might be a close between Ocean and Monmouth, both of which sit along the mid-Jersey shore, sort of. So that's really saying something to say that it's up there with, Ocean County, although you don't have nearly as many people as Ocean County.
Nowhere near. No, not at all. Sussex County is like one of the least amounts of numbers. I think Warren's a little bit smaller than us, but we don't bring in a lot of votes.
So in the most densely populated state in the union, you are not a particularly densely populated county.
Oh, no, we're in the country. A lot of people in Sussex County live on 5, 10, 15, 30 acres. It's a lot of farmland, a lot of forests, beautiful Kittatinny Ridge going across. It's you got valleys, you got lakes, you got mountains. It's like a microcosm of the entire Northeast.
And have you been there all your life, Joe?
Oh, no, I'm from Staten Island originally.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. When did you come to New Jersey?
2018.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Well, I was a career in the military, so I lived all over the country.
You decided that, was that when you decided that you wanted to be a farmer?
Yeah.
And that's a whole other story. And we did an interview with you about that. The farming. And I remember the last time I spoke to you, you were a little late because you were dealing with something on the farm. What happened? Something with the calves or something?
Yeah, they got out. But no, I want to keep developing and build eventually a full ranch. But it takes years. I don't want to do it fast. I just don't want to, because you don't really know what you're doing. You want to get the experience first. So little by little, I grow my herd, and what I'm aiming for is by the next 4 years, have a herd of about 40 cattle.
Unbelievable. Now we want to talk about your book, okay? Yes. Which you, first of all, you decided to write a book called The Path to a Prosperous and Free New Jersey. By the way, folks, it's available on Amazon. The Path to a Prosperous and Free New Jersey by Joe Labarbera. His name is up here on the screen. And I'm reading from the blurb that goes with the book. It says, New Jersey is a state of immense wealth, opportunity, and potential. But under decades of Democrat leadership, it has become a place of economic hardship, rising taxes, and dwindling freedoms. Despite its prime real estate, financial power, and access to global markets, too many hardworking residents find themselves struggling to stay afloat or forced to flee the state for a better life. And we know that a lot of people flee every year, drawing from the wisdom. You say your book is drawing from the wisdom of great conservative thinkers and the historical trajectory of political movements. This book lays out a roadmap to reclaim New Jersey, one that rejects socialist overreach and revives the American dream. We hear a lot of talk today, Joe, about the American dream. And I'm going to suggest, and I hope you like this idea, to our Republican gubernatorial candidate, Jack Ciattarelli, who I know we both support.
Absolutely.
And I kind of have a feeling we both like the sound of his last name too, but that's I'm going to suggest that Jack Ciattarelli propose that instead of being a sanctuary state for illegal immigrants, we become New Jersey, the sanctuary state for the American dream.
Wow. I like that slogan.
You like that?
I do. I really like that slogan.
I hope Jack or some of his people are watching this. And by the way, this is live on Facebook and on LinkedIn and on my YouTube channel right now. But I find that most people watch it after I put it up on those outlets permanently, and it appears at dancerucci.com on my website.
No.
So you will see the numbers pick up as people become aware of it and get to watch it, because it's going to be up for quite a while. So while many people don't watch it live, they do watch it in the other ways. Now, Joe, how long did it take you to write this thing?
About 4 months.
4 months.
Yeah.
Okay.
It went through a few drafts, and the idea changed a few times. But in the end, I wanted to produce a strategy. I wanted to produce something that, if the message spreads, becomes seen as a common truth amongst the Republican circles of this is the direction, and this is the who, what, when, where, and how of how to then make New Jersey not just a Republican state temporarily, but culturally a conservative state.
Here's my big question, and I promised in promoting this program that I would ask this. I've been in this state all my life. I was born and raised here. I was born a few miles from where I'm sitting right now. Mm-hmm. Shortly after I was born, they tore the hospital down. I mean, that's a commentary. There's a commentary there somewhere about me. I don't know. But anyway, I've spent, I don't know, I can't even imagine how much money in taxes I've spent living here. I mean, it probably boggles the mind. We're consistently in the top 3 highest tax states in the union. Where is all this money going, Joe?
To the to make a long story short, it's going to donors, to local Democrat committees and Democrat candidates, who will then get rewarded with contracts that is ultimately the fruit of where the taxpayer money is going. Mostly the educational system. So Asbury Park, lowest performing school in the state, they still get almost $40,000 per kid. Not one kid from Asbury Park in multiple years has been able to even pass a state assessment. I mean, it's that bad. Yes.
And this goes to the incestuous relationship of the teachers union to the powers that be. Now, the schools are not only getting tax money, but enormous amounts of tax money per student. And think about this, the teachers, and I'm married to a New Jersey school teacher. She's now retired. I taught in the public schools in New Jersey, so I know a little bit of where I speak. So the teachers are getting paid with our tax dollars. They're being paid with our tax dollars. They receive a pretty nice salary in New Jersey. Okay, they're not exactly destitute. All right. And the way the New Jersey Education Association operates, it's what you call a unified union. And so the teachers' salaries, a portion of those salaries automatically goes to dues to the union, the New Jersey.
I understand that.
Enormous association. So that's taxpayer money being funneled through a teacher's salary that automatically goes to the NJEA, which funnels it back to the ruling Democrat Party. Overwhelmingly, if not exclusively. And the NJEA is one of the most radical liberal unions in the country. Right?
That, without a doubt, the NEA is very far to the left.
And the National Education Association and their New Jersey affiliate, the New Jersey Education Association, NJEA.
It is as infiltrated by the leftists as the Workers of the World Union was infiltrated in the early 1920s by the Bolsheviks.
When I was a teacher in New Jersey, I was a union rep. And this was a long, long, long time ago, folks, way before the NJEA became radicalized. But even then, I could see, and let me say again, this was a very long time ago, I could see where it was going. I could already see the drift. And even then, they were contributing predominantly to the Democrat Party.
Yeah.
But now it's not just the Democrat Party. They are creating and promoting radical policy, radical leftist policy. and also promoting it in the schools, in the classrooms.
Dan, I would say that it was always there. It's just that they finally decided to make it a concerted effort amongst their entire community. The left really started getting anchored into American culture through academia, as you know, and we've talked about this before. And Columbia University in the 1950s, late 1940s, early 1950s. So they've had their tentacles in all these places for a while. It's just that now it's become, due to the conservative side being so weak, they feel overempowered and they overreach. And like all revolutionary type movements, those whole mentality tends to overreach, and that's what the left's ultimate weak point is.
Let me ask you this: did you examine in this book? Do you examine the issue of corruption?
Yes. So depending on how you define corruption, well, one of the points I make in the book is that there are different viewpoints of corruption, and there can be an institutionalized corruption to where it is so normal that no one would think it would be illegal or no one think it would be wrong. For example, to come up with needs for certain projects just to get taxpayer money in there, just so you can reward your with contracts, just so that money then can be used to, reward your own people and donors and then donate it back to you.
Oh, wait a minute. I think we had something happen here.
Sorry, it got disrupted.
Okay. Go. You said, and donate it back to you. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So various forms of nepotism are inherent to the current system as it is, the current culture as it is. At what line do you draw the corruption? And sometimes the corruption can be so normalized that you really find it's hard to find a legal issue with it. But when like you said, when you have a culture or revolving money that you just described, yeah, one could call that corruption because it takes away from the integrity of the democratic process.
What solutions or ways out of this do you propose in your book, Joe?
A full spectrum, let's use a little military term, a full spectrum attack on the entire system they've created, not by attacking moving the operators of the system. What this book reveals is the structure of how the Democrats are organized in New Jersey. That's how it starts out. It starts out from basically the enemy perspective. And what it does is it lines up in how it looks at them, not how we identify them, but how they identify themselves by their various caucuses. Their caucuses are all race and ethnicity based. And then they go further to then start breaking down in terms of who their operatives are. And then if you can draw a marriage between Democrat operatives and appointed positions throughout the state. So then what the book goes on to
we're getting some blips here.
And then ultimately you're looking at the Dems win because they have all the appointed positions statewide filled. There's literally, it's almost impossible to find a Republican, let alone a conservative leaning Republican, in almost any appointed position in the state level.
Well, that's because the Democrats have had solid control of both houses of the state legislature, the governorship. They're both United States senators. Okay, we haven't had a United States senator elected a United States senator from New Jersey in over 50 years. We're going on. Well, the last Republican governor was Chris Christie. Okay, who went out of office. Was last elected in 2013. Okay, and in my lifetime, I could count on one hand the number of Republican governors we've had. Okay. I mean, we've had Kane, we've had Christie Whitman, and we had Chris Christie.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And if you want to go all the way back, there was Cahill, but he was only one term, 4 years. Now that's only 4.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
they have such entrenched control. And for a long time, Joe, this was enabled through the county boss system,
Mm-hmm.
or what was known as the line, the ballot line, which
Mm-hmm.
wasn't thrown out until last year.
Mm-hmm.
And even now, Democrat bosses are finding a way around that, around the removal of the
Oh
line.
yeah, there's a million ways to go around that. That's why I didn't get all upset about it or worried about it. Yeah, I mean, an endorsement is pretty much the same. The only thing, the difference is the top line of the ballot, and that's always picked by the county clerk anyway. That's random anyway, so that you lose the line in terms of being able to put it on the top of the ballot. But then now what we're going to do is they're going to start structuring it, or they're going to all use the same type of name. They're never going to eliminate the ability of a political party to impart its platform on its candidates. You can make up any rule in the world. There's always going to be, all right, well, there's no line, but the committee just endorsed you and you get to put regular Republican next to your name. Well, that kind of says it all, you know.
So where do you begin to crack this dominance and this grip
Mm-hmm.
of corruption? Where do you begin? You begin like in a situation like you're in, leading the opposition party.
Opposition party tactics. Opposition, you said it, sir. Opposition party tactics. You know you're never going to be the majority. You know the majority is always going to pound on you. What you have to do is you have to exert your will on the majority. You have to constantly be something that the majority has to concede to, instead of you having to concede to them. The Sinn Féin party is a great example of that.
In Ireland,
in terms of being a small party and being able to put their will on the majority and influence the larger. Forza Italia under Berlusconi started out that way, became the majority eventually. You know, you're seeing stuff in France happen like that all over Europe.
Berlusconi, yes, and now today, the present prime minister is a protege of Berlusconi.
Yes, she is, Moroni. Yes,
she's his protege.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and she seems to be. It looks like she's going to be in for a while. And you pointed out what's happening in France. So you're not saying that these opposition parties must resolve themselves to simply being an opposition party. You're showing a way that they can eventually prevail.
Oh, yeah, they do, as you see. They do in Europe all the time. The Reform Party under Nigel Farage in Great Britain. So that started out as a small. Sooner or later, it's going to be taking over Parliament.
Farage is overcoming now the Conservative Party. He is getting big enough to overcome. But Joe, in America, it's really doubtful that a third party could take hold like that, isn't it?
No, not through a third party, but through a faction within a larger party.
Okay.
Like, you've seen the MAGA take over the Republican Party.
By historical standards, Joe, in a relatively short time.
Very short time. And you've seen how the Republican Party has shifted in New Jersey. We've become a much more right-leaning Republican Party in the last decade.
Well, I'm going to get to that. The MAGA takeover, if you will, quote unquote, takeover of the Republican Party happened in over a period of really less than a decade. It's been less than a decade.
Yeah.
Just because, okay, Trump announced he was running like in 2015. It's now 2025. But it's still within a decade. All right.
It's pretty phenomenal.
Conservative Ronald Reagan takeover of the Republican Party, which was the last previous right-wing takeover of the party, and that occurring under Reagan. I don't really count Bush 1 and Bush 2 as part of that, because they tended to move the party back to the middle. But in retrospect, but the Ronald Reagan took from 1963, 64, when Reagan first started speaking out in favor of Goldwater, until 1980. It took that long when Reagan was elected for the conservatives to gain that foothold. And some people say it went all the way back to Taft, okay, in the 1950s, that it took that long. This takeover has been astronomically rapid and intense. I personally have never seen anything like it in my life.
It goes for a lot of us. It goes for all of us.
So it shows that it can be done. And it almost seems, Joe, as if Trump did it instead of from the bottom up, from the top down.
Yes, he did. Which it shows paradigms are always limited to your particular cycle of history. A true historian has to have a much broader paradigm.
So what should the Republican Party in New Jersey be saying and doing and proposing now to make New Jersey a more affordable and prosperous state?
They got to lead on policy, and I really like what Jack's talking about. Is they got to lead on policy. They got to have formulated strategy plans across all the industries. So the way to do that from a gubernatorial standpoint, from actually being from an executive standpoint, is you have to develop sub policies, just like the federal government does. Sub policies oriented on those sorts of things. So therefore, when we're looking at one of the main industries we have in New Jersey is pharma. So what are we going to do to expand that, et cetera, et cetera? Where do these different aspects of the economy, of the market fit into New Jersey? And what are we going to be doing to bringing markets to retailers and producers in New Jersey? What incentives that are going to be offered? When they have to speak to it in a way that communicates, and they have to craft that message to each separate parts of the various industries of New Jersey.
Well, one of the things that Jack is doing is he's spending a lot of time with small business people. If you look at his social media, and even if you look at like his first round of ads, television and radio ads, he's spending a lot of time with small business people and stressing, the free market, entrepreneurship, capitalism, and the like. How do we deal, Joe, with the hot button social issues that a lot of people say, oh, don't go there, don't touch that third reel? The hot button social issues.
Yeah, the abortion and everything like that.
And trans rights, for example.
Oh, we should go there. We should go there. Absolutely.
They should go there.
Absolutely. That is an important. That is I think a turning point issue for many people. It is an issue that has brought many on the Democrat side, even though if they're not open about it, over to our side.
An issue like letting biological men into women's restrooms.
Yeah. In women's sports, I watched an MMA fight where the dude who was in woman mode actually cracked the woman, got her skull cracked. Actually, it was a man fighting a woman, but the man was saying he was a woman, so he got to fight this girl and he cracked her skull. I mean, you can't. This is the absurdity of this. It's beyond comprehension. And like I said, there's all historical cycles. And every time you have a cycle of decadence, then it leads into a reaction to the right.
This is a very, very emotional issue. I know parents who have young women, girls, and girls' sports, as you probably do, that are involved in girls' sports, that this is a powerful issue to them.
A lot of suburban moms who traditionally vote Democrat are going to be voting Republican over this. I mean, how more anti-feminist can you be than to mess with girls' sports and say that men can compete in women's sports? I mean, that's just totally eliminating many of these girls' opportunities.
Joe, in Florida, the governor, Ron DeSantis, has now said he is looking into the elimination of property taxes altogether and thinks it can be accomplished. What's your reaction to that?
Well, I don't have the math in my mind right now and I haven't done the research to say, could it be accomplished? In theory, yes. I couldn't do the math to figure out how, so I'll be careful there. In principle, as free Americans, is from the history of conservative thought, we as people, as men, as citizens, should not have to pay for the pleasure of living. So to say that you got to be taxed simply for having property, which is a right, life, liberty, or property will not be taken without the due process of law. It poses a moral standpoint of a question. Other than there's the pragmatic question, which is, well, then, geez, how are we supposed to pay for things? How are we supposed to pay for first responders, roads, infrastructure? Very true. So therefore, in theory, should there be a full-time property tax that is inherent? No. Could there be a series of taxes done collectively or done in a certain manner that are much more sporadic and less impactful? Then the answer is yes. That's a true story too. Therefore, it's a hard one. I would say that taxes can be imposed by the government with a mandate from the people, and with each tax being voted on or whatever. And then the people need a much stronger feedback mechanism into what their steady state taxes, especially education in the state. We should have a lot more visibility on where our money goes for education.
Oh my God, that is an enormous matter. And another enormous matter is the affordable housing issue.
Well, which the developers are very happy with that.
Which is connected to the local taxing issue, right?
You're keeping the construction industry alive in New Jersey. You're adding, I say keeping it alive, you're adding to the construction industry in New Jersey, and you're making developers very happy. Now, developers, where are they going to donate their money to? Oh, well, hey, I know that I pad the Dems. I start giving donations to these Dems. It's more likely I'm going to get a contract to do these affordable housing developments. So I'm going to now make sure I help these Dems get in office.
There's going to be pressure on a county like yours, Sussex County, which has a lot of open land. Isn't there pressure already? Isn't there for taking up that land for building, for housing?
There is a lot of pressure, and nobody knows what to do yet because there's nothing in the area that makes sense to do it. There are certain towns in Sussex County that literally have no open space, like Stanhope. It's like there's smaller towns, and maybe Andover Borough. They don't have room to put into any affordable housing. There's nothing to build. There's no space unless we're going to demolish some houses and replace them. It just doesn't exist. So there's other options. Your affordable housing does not have to be for low income. You can do it for veterans. So our town of Hardiston chose that they took the affordable housing thing. They had 3 condominiums built across from their town hall. Not 3. Yeah, 3 townhouses. And they're simply for veterans. They have 2 apartments, 2 units, I think, in each one. And that's it. That's their quota for affordable housing is for homeless veterans.
Well, that is certainly admirable, and it would seem to me we would need more of that. Okay.
The thing that's another one is they're trying to put basically glorified housing projects in all these towns throughout the state. And who are those voters going to be? They're going to be Democrat voters.
This reminds me of, bringing in illegal
Mm-hmm.
aliens to bringing into the country in the millions and millions, and then registering them as Democrats, which was just a natural.
Yeah.
And then even moving them to certain states to affect the vote.
Yeah.
All right, which the Democrats also did under Joe Biden.
Mm-hmm.
And a staggering number. President Trump has managed to remove, I think, over 1 million so far, but that's just a fraction. It's a fraction. Joe, what conservative thought leaders or philosophers or theorists would you look to advance your ideas in this book?
Burke.
Okay, well, tell us a little bit about
Burke, British parliamentarian.
Knows I know because I was well trained by the Augustinian friars at Villanova University.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and the Augustinians drilled it into us, and even though again it was a long, long time ago, it's still there. But you tell everybody.
All right, so Burke was, I would say, is the father of conservatism. He was a British parliamentarian and a member of parliament. He was an Englishman, and he was very much a critic of his times. He was very much a reformer, very strong abolitionist. He helped abolish the slave trade, and he was very much anti. As an imperialist, he was kind of like an anti-imperialist, but I don't want to get too new. Just know that with Burke, he was a supporter of the American War for Independence, by the way. He believed that we were in the right and they were wrong. Mm-hmm. Burke was a guy who was a pragmatist, but wanted to understand how to make government good, irregardless of whatever king you had in power or whatever type of political leadership you had. And he established a school of thought that we now call conservatism, which says you have to be basically wise with the use of your resources. You have to preserve the traditions, and you have to preserve the values of your community. Otherwise, you're not the leadership if you don't have the values preserved, if you're not a platform for that. And then you got to make decisions that are sustainable, decisions that have long-lasting legacies for your society. And I would say that's how I see Burke.
And he had a profound influence. But do you think that conservatism has drifted away from that, from these traditional so-called fathers of conservatism and conservative thought?
Yeah, yes and no. Sorry about that. What happened?
There was another blip. There was another. We're having these. I don't know why. I said that have they drifted away from traditional conservative thought, and you said yes and no.
Yeah. Okay. I don't want to. I should just give it a definite answer. The answer is not anymore. Not anymore. Okay. Well, conservatism through the generations always manifested itself in Democrat and the Republican parties. Remember, because both parties kind of like ended up like almost switching roles after a while. And with conservatism, conservatives ultimately are going to look for a doctrine. Conservatives by nature gravitate to this political philosophy because of the need for an operational process and a doctrine, the belief in having continuity and some kind of codified behavior. Progressives are very different. Progressives are repelled by this, and they seek to always look for something that is a change or difference, regardless of whether it's good or bad. Seeing different elements impact conservatism in America. We saw the element that wanted to be the manifestation. Remember the know-nothings, and even later on in the 19th century, people who were very much against American imperialism and expansion, and they became very much against Woodrow Wilson as a result. That was a stamp on conservatism that says we want to be more protectionist as a nation. They had some influence, went south with the Great Depression. Then in the 50s, after the Second World War, we saw the shape of conservatism become more about being anti-communist rather than, and I think you remember the John Birchers of the 50s and 60s.
Right.
Yeah. And they seemed, and that a lot of that stemmed from real life issues. You had Alger Hiss. You had the
McCarthy era.
Yeah, the McCarthy era, and there was a lot of truth to that. So you have this large cultural reaction that becomes zeroed in on anti-communism. And then they stopped thinking about being what conservatives mean. It became all about being an anti-communist.
Which, by the way, Ronald Reagan was virulently anti-communist.
Yes, he was.
And he brought down the USSR.
Yes, he did. And he was a Democrat for most of his life.
The Soviet Union was a Democrat for most of his life, right? Mm-hmm. And they said he became a conservative when he really started making some significant bucks when he got to Hollywood and he saw how much of his money was going to taxes. He thought, oh my God, I finally made it. And then he saw his paycheck and he was like, what the hell happened? So you see, that's the power. It goes back to your book, by the way, which is all about, money and spending. Okay. That's the power of bread and butter, practical bread and butter issues. And that's what set him to start thinking. And he went back and started reading people like Burke and others, Reagan, who was a lot smarter than people gave him credit for, because he did his homework. And he put conservatism into the modern era, I think.
Yeah, he was a catalyst for it. That's for sure. Yeah, and then it was a more suitable package than Goldwater. Goldwater had a harshness to him.
Right.
There was an edge to Goldwater.
Goldwater was doctrinaire, and he was confrontational. And Reagan was amiable and approachable and likable. He came across as, the guy next door that you began to have a chat with over the backyard fence.
Yeah.
Or maybe he had
a very trustworthy guy. He looked very trustworthy.
Yes, but this was from years of course, you can't fake it. When television, as long as he was, and he was on television for a long time, you can't fake it. All right. You have to have a certain amount of authenticity to put it over. I mean, this is what made Reagan a great communicator, and this is, of course, a talent that Trump honed as well, having been successful on television before he jumped into politics. So communication plays a very important part of it nowadays, especially, Joe, when not as many people read as they used to.
Yeah, it's I'm seeing interesting things. In one point, you're right. There, the feedback we're getting is that reading is becoming like a lost art among kids, and then yet you'll run across a certain young person that is incredibly well read, incredibly switched on, and you see them in the volunteers, the people like the volunteer with the various Republican Party committees. I've met some incredible kids that are they'll talk about everything from the Charles Martel and defending the mountains of Spain against the Muslims, and then they'll go switch into talking about calculus, and then they're just brilliant at the same time. So what I believe happened is in these years that these kids were growing up, where I wasn't raising kids, my kids are really young still, But in this last 20 years, you see such a dumbing down of the educational system that got really, really bad. And then immediately the more alpha types, the more of the families that were more into education, they elevated their kids phenomenally. So it was almost like maybe the cream got to rise from the crop. They let the crop turn to dust really quick.
And unfortunately, there's a big gap now.
Yeah.
But you are seeing a lot of young people, Joe, very, very smart, well-versed, well-read, worldly young people entering the Republican Party.
Yeah. Yeah. Our young Republicans are incredible in Sussex. Our young Republicans are bright, smart, capable. They're all starting out their careers. Some of them are on councils already. I mean, they're doing great. Yeah.
I know I've had occasion to meet and chat with quite a few of them. And they're all over the state, by the way. They're all over the state. They represent every conceivable racial and ethnic group you can imagine. They really do. I've met young people, very, very smart, committed Republican young people in New Jersey of every racial and ethnic group imaginable in this very diverse state. And they're thoughtful. They question. I mean, it's great, isn't it, to have a chat with them about these things?
It is. It is. It is. Now they have to be protected. We have to look out for them when they come into the workplace. We got to make sure that we get them in good positions where they're not set up to fail, where they have opportunities, and we got to mentor them. We really got to mentor them.
Now, Joe, how did you do your research for this book? Did you use AI at all?
No, I just started using AI about a month ago, actually.
You did?
Yeah. I mean, I heard about it, and then my wife was teaching me some stuff about it, and we were planning something with the farm, so we asked AI how to do it, and AI just gave us this whole project plan, and I was like, oh my god, like this is a lot of fun.
So your reaction to it was
impressive.
Okay. Yeah, I've used it a few times, and
but I didn't use AI to write my book. This is on me.
Okay. I say this: it's good to gather information and get a grounding and set and sort of organize what you want to talk about or write about. But then you have to go in and make it yours.
Yeah. And that's going to be the dilemma coming up. The dilemma coming up is the young kids growing up now. I mean, are they going to become, intellectually lazy because of this? I don't know.
I hope not.
But we'll say this: those who learn how to use their own minds and exercise their own minds at a pace and help develop their own brain's power and use AI at the same time, that'll be what makes the cut.
It is a remarkable resource. And if you use it as a resource, and a lot of times if you call upon it, within the context of what it gives you, it will even cite its sources. Okay? And so if you're diligent as well about citing sources and not bringing them forth as your own, which is the honest thing to do, and you go in and make it your own, because you're going to have to alter the writing so that it's, well, I guess this is easier to do once you're older and you have your own style of writing. I would imagine it's harder when you're young and you're still developing a tone, a style, a voice, if you will.
Yeah.
When you write, see, I can't talk to that because I didn't come up with AI, nor did you, when we were learning how to communicate.
Nope.
And we were learning how to formally communicate, if you will. Right?
Yeah, I didn't start using a computer until college.
Okay. And I obviously did not use a computer in college. I used a pencil and paper.
All
I
right.
think
So
I still have some of my notebooks. Yeah.
my 10-year-old gets a tablet issued to her in school. I mean, they're doing compute. The kids now are all over this.
An electronic tablet.
Electronic tablet.
Yes.
To do her assignments and stuff like that.
Oh,
Fifth grade.
wow.
I know. She was showing it to me today.
Well, okay. That just, it's just a different way.
Yeah.
It's a tool and it's a different way of doing it. Joe, this has been a wonderful conversation. We're like, how far are we? Oh, like 50 minutes into it. Oh my goodness. Time flies. And as always, it's been a great evening.
Oh, thank you. Likewise.
And like I say, this is going to be on my Facebook page. Dan Cerrucci is going to be at dancerrucci.com right after this program. It goes up on dancerrucci.com. It'll be pinned to the top of my Facebook page.
Oh, thank you.
Be pinned to my LinkedIn. It'll go on my YouTube channel. And Joe, I invite you to take it from Facebook, from my Facebook page, and share it. Okay. You will be able to share it once I post it publicly.
Okay.
So thank you so much for taking the time with us. And maybe I'll see you on the campaign trail.
Oh yeah, we'll see each other.
Maybe we will see each other at one would hope Jack Chittarelli's election night party.
Oh, it's coming. I believe it.
You believe it's going to happen?
I do.
One would hope.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be able to celebrate that night, not too far away.
Mm-hmm.
And we will chat it again, Joe, and love to you and your family.
Thank you. Likewise, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.